Hey, you want to check out what's happening in alternative porn in France? Let me introduce you to Carré Rose Films. Founded by Carmina, a French-Mexican performer and longtime advocate for sex worker rights. This indie studio is doing things differently, putting performers first, pushing for diversity, and tackling industry issues head on, all of which keep all while keeping things hot and fun. One example, check out this series 60 Minutes with. Carmina meets a fellow performer for 1 hour. No script, no plan, just sees where the moment takes them, and you get to be right there with them. Don't worry about whether you speak French or not. All films are either in English or subtitled, so you won't miss a thing. Curious? Head to carrierosefilms.com. That's Carrie rosefilms.com. Cams.com is a performer-run webcam studio working with models who want to make serious bank doing online sex work. Top Treasure Cams models are earning 100K plus a year, taking home weekly fat paychecks. We have a great affiliate program to reward you for any traffic you bring to the site. We help you set up with equipment, tech, sales techniques, monthly meetings, and so much more. Visit treasurecams.com to learn more about us and to cam with us. Have you ever been looking for an amazing queer cam performer? Well, I got you covered. You should check out TS Cami. Her super hot content is on Chatterbait, Twitter, Xhamster, and Reddit. Support this rad trans femme babe. Enter your fantasies. Big Fantasy is a porn star, stripper, femdom, and expert making your fantasies come true. Explore Fig's secret, luxurious world at AQUATAFANA collective.net and at Figs Fantasies on OnlyFans and Figs Fantasy on Instagram. She's waiting for you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Performers Pod. I'm Chelsea Poe. Today, my guest is Carmina. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you.
I'm so excited to have you on. Not only are you a sponsor of the podcast and your amazing site,
Yes,
um,
thank you.
we got to catch up super recently in Amsterdam, and it was like so much fun. I feel like our genre of porn has been around for a minute now, where I'm like, we've known each
Yeah,
other for nearly 10 years, which is really crazy.
I know, right? Like it flew by so quickly. I remember seeing you in Berlin. I think it was probably 2016, 2017, and
Something like
definitely,
that.
yeah, definitely was there when you were shooting in maybe 2017 or 19. And like I was taking pictures on the set, and it feels like a lifetime ago. And at the same time, like it feels as it was yesterday. I don't know.
For sure, the pandemic definitely like put a big thing in it where it was like, oh my God, are we gonna have this world again?
I mean, it was really hard for me because like, for me, porn film festivals are so important.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, I feel like I organize my whole year and my whole life around them because for me, like, if I don't have that, I feel like I have like nothing in terms of like community.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing your colleagues and getting inspired and having people around you that do, the same, that are in the same industry. And if I don't have this, I feel like it's just only me and my computer alone in my house. And at some point, you just like you get crazy. Like yeah, it's too
For sure.
complicated.
Yeah, it's just such like a whole different world. Also, like I just got a whole nother birth for my career after going to those festivals because like in the United States, porn is so capitalist. So like if you go to any of these award shows or you're shooting porn, everyone's like, okay, so what's gonna make money? Where in Europe you can have all this like different artistic like reasons for making porn, political reasons, and like when I first got to Berlin and I saw a few films, I'm like, oh my God, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is where my porn makes sense, you know?
It's exactly how I felt. I mean, I wasn't making porn before, but I definitely felt like a calling, weirdly, like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be. Exactly what you said. Like, okay, this is my family, these are my people. This is where my path, was meant to lead me. But What you were saying about, that in the US it's very capitalist, but in Europe it's more like artistic. Like it's true, but also, like I do have a make I do have to make money, and
True.
right now it's really hard because I'm really struggling between making films that I want to make and making films that I know are going to bring money. Because if I don't bring money, I will have to like stop making films and maybe get a regular job again. Like
Hmm.
go back to like 9 to 5, whatever marketing bullshit office job that I had before. And I really don't want that. But also, it's this struggle of being like, yeah, I mean, indie porn in Europe, like it's not a capitalist venture, I think, but also like how do I make rent? How do I
Hmm.
pay the people who are like working with me, etc., etc. So it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle.
I also feel like a really big difference is like in the United States, all our major porn events, there's no screening element to it. So you don't get
Mm.
to see your peers' films at all. Where in Berlin, you go and you're like, oh my God, I saw something crazy. Like when I saw your film Holes. No, Wrong Holes Only. That's what it is.
Yes,
And it's
that's
just
indeed.
like in the United States, when you're going to AVN or whatever, you might be losing to a movie and you've never seen it. And you
Yeah.
don't have any idea what it is. Where in Berlin or any of these festivals in Europe, you get to see everyone's work. And I feel like it gives like more of an appreciation for each other's work and like the medium, where it's not like this like weird kind of competition thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I think it's sad that sometimes, in mainstream porn, the kind of like cinematic value of the movies is kind of like left out.
Hmm.
And it's a bit sad because like I remember like I watch porn every day, I think, or
Yeah.
most days. And sometimes I watch like what you would call like mainstream clip movies or mainstream videos,
Yeah.
but and sometimes they're so funny, like so. I mean, I laugh sometimes, like I'm like basically like watching porn sometimes to masturbate, but like I keep laughing because it's so funny and so whimsical and so I don't know. It's like a big caricature of everything that's going
Hmm.
on in society right now, and I think it's sad that sometimes we forget that. We forget that mainstream is also funny and also well made and well produced and sometimes very well filmed. And I think maybe mainstream awards should at least like show an excerpt of what it's competing. Because
For
when you
sure.
watch the Oscars, it's always like they say, "Oh, this actor in this movie," and they show a little clip of it, so that you can at least tell what's the movie, what's the mood, why is he nominated? Because you can tell that the I don't know the he's intense or whatever. And I'm
Hmm.
like, we should do that in porn as well, and in mainstream porn as well.
They do at AVN for like something, so they'll like have Grand Reel, which is like the AVN version of Best Picture, and they'll have clips, but like I feel have you been to AVN before?
No, I really want to go. I've been wanting to go for years, but the pandemic still, and
Well, if
I
you
really want
come,
to go.
I would love to show you around because it's like
Cool.
fucking chaos, but it's like kind of takes over like half of Vegas. It takes over like an entire hotel casino, and then it kind of like you see ads for it everywhere, right? I feel
Mm.
like they could literally just have a screening during that week, just playing all the movies on repeat, like just in a row.
Yeah, for
Like that'd be
sure.
so cool.
I've been
But
to a festival in Brussels who had that like it was like a dark room where they would play the movies all weekend, and you could like just sit in and get out whenever you wanted, like watch one movie, two movies, 10 movies. And I thought that was a really good idea if like people wanted to sit down and watch the movies that were presented, nominated at any point of the day. And I think it's great.
yeah, I think that'd be so cool. But I feel like there are some people who are doing really artistic things in mainstream now. And I really like you
Yeah.
bring that up because I feel like there's such a I hate the thing where if you're doing feminist or indie or ethical porn or whatever the buzzword you're gonna say with it, there's this assumption that like the press has that's like mainstream porn's bad. Tell us why it's bad. And I just hate
I
that stuff. It feels like
I
when
don't
you're
like it.
asking alternative like artists or indie like musicians to be like, tell us why mainstream pop is bad. It just feels so like dumb to me. I just hate that stuff so much.
I really hate that, especially like I know that I'm not someone who's, I mean, I'm kind of like a basic, basic girly, basic pop girly.
Yeah.
Like I mostly listen to like major pop songs, like from
Same.
every era, but
Hmm.
still. And I don't know. I think sometimes people tend to like it's okay to be artistic. It's okay to be like very intellectual, and I'm a nerd for so many reasons, but
Hmm.
sometimes like it's okay to just like basic stuff. Like if it's popular culture, it means that it's popular, like literally, and it's okay to like things like that. And I love mainstream porn. I've been watching mainstream porn for I want to say something like 20-ish years, like maybe 25 years. And I still love it. I don't like when people say like, "Oh, but you do ethical porn, so what do you think about mainstream? How can we stop mainstream porn?" And I'm like, "Why would we have to stop mainstream porn?" Like,
Right?
no, we have to criticize it, obviously, because
Hmm.
it comes from a patriarchal society who is bad, and so the porn sometimes is bad because the society who produces it is bad. But I'm like, why do you want to stop it? You Why? Like it's funny, it's entertainment, it's just fun and light, and people are making it this big thing, like big heavy political thing that has to be stopped for some reason, and I really don't agree with that. I
Yeah.
hate the good porn, bad porn trope. I'm like, no, no, we have to get past that, really.
Have you seen much of Ricky Greenwood's work?
No, I don't think so.
You should check out. He won Director of the Year this last year, and I think he's won Movie of the Year last 2 or 3 years. He's Quebecois. His entire like crew is French, but they shoot everything in LA, and it's like one of the most mainstream sets. But there's like so much just like artistic and thoughtfulness when it comes to the cinematography. I highly suggest checking it out. Like, I
Okay,
feel
I
like
might.
there's really been an elevation, I think, in mainstream porn where when I first started, I feel like so much of this stuff was just kind of a guy who owned a camera more than a director,
Yeah, yeah,
cinematographer.
yeah.
Um, but
I'm always sad when people say that it's not cinema. Because I was listening to a podcast. I think it was actually, Trixie and Katya's podcast
mhm.
last week. And at some point, I don't know, Katya was like, "Oh, but these people make cinema, but porn people, they make content." And I was like, "The fuck we don't? We don't make content, we make films." Because if you are telling a story and filming it and editing it and putting it out there, it's a movie, it's cinema by
For sure.
definition. Maybe it's a short movie, and I mean, there are lots of really good short movies in cinema, and I'm like, it's cinema. We have to, remember that even if you're directing it in like a very basic way or very mainstreamy way or being very male gazy, it's like you're saying something. You're putting a statement, even if it's not the best one. You are
It's
making a
still, yeah, it's
statement
still
with the movie.
art. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's changed a lot. Like in the United States, when I first started, if you said porn was your art, people would laugh at you. Where now, like everyone at AVN, at any of these events, are always talking about that. And also, I think like the conversation of porn performers, athletes has really changed too, where it's like now more of an accepted thing.
Mm.
I think it's moving in the right direction, but at the same time, I think from like the larger world, still a reduction of porn being like, oh, you're just shooting someone fingering their asshole or doing whatever, rather than it being an artistic outlet. And I think that's elitist bullshit, personally.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I strongly disagree. Like really. And people would be surprised at what kind of porn people who make the most artistic and independent porn movies watch actually. Because, everyone is always like tagging me as being like, "Oh, but you're a feminist and you're doing like ethical porn," which words that I do not like and I
Yeah, I
do
hate
not
that
abide by.
shit.
Like I don't like it. Like it's not a fucking label that you put on your movies. Like it's political. And
Hmm.
and people are always telling me like, "Oh, but you're ethical and you're feminist, and so your porn must be like the porn that you watch. Like, what kind of porn do you watch?" And like, I'm like, guys, like you don't want to know. Like, you you
I
don't
mean,
want to
I want to
know.
know because, like, honestly, I hate the thing where people ask porn performers, are like, "What porn do you watch?" And they're like, "I don't watch porn." And I feel like that's
Mm,
such a cop out where it's like, you're watching some porn, you just don't want to share the actual porn you're watching.
yeah. I mean, and I'm always saying that all the time in interviews, and people are like, "Oh, but how often do you watch porn?" And I was like, "I watch porn every day. It's my job. It's my industry. So I watch
Hmm.
porn every day. Sometimes I'll be watching for my own entertainment or my own, I don't know, my own pleasure. Sometimes I'll be watching because I want to check out what my colleagues are doing, like the
Hmm.
I don't know, the indie scene, what's new out there. Sometimes I'll be watching because I'm studying like I don't know because I'm also like kind of I don't know how to say it, but like in France, I'm kind of like a porn expert, and I know
Yeah.
that sometimes like journalists will call me to be like, "Oh my God, have you seen this new trend in porn?" And so I have to keep up also like with the trends, and so sometimes I'll be watching like I don't know. The other day I was watching, I think I watched something like probably 25 videos of stepmoms sleeping on my lap, and I watched like at least 25 or 30 of them to be like, okay, so that's a trope that's in the moment in France, like it's a big theme in the media.
Hmm.
Non-consensual porn is like being very uh like very discussed because of the huge judiciary case that we had of a woman who was drugged by her husband, and the husband was filming her like being raped by people when she was drugged, and
Holy
so it
fuck.
raised. Oh no, it's the most horrible story I've heard, but it raised a concern about like filming people when they are asleep, and so non-consensual porn was like under the radar, but I was like, okay, like I get what you're saying, but also like this is porn, this is cinema made by
Hmm.
consensual adults, you know? And you're comparing it to someone who was like drugging someone and filming her against her consent
Hmm.
and like having people rape her, like so like can't you see that it's like really two different things? And so I had to watch like all kinds of like non-consent porn and sleeping porn and yeah, so to keep up with the trends because I knew that journalists were going to ask me questions and they did. And watching porn every day. And I think it's cool and I think it's great and I don't think it's a problem and I think that people who make porn should sometimes also watch porn, you
For
know?
sure.
Like it's as if like I don't know, some major like director in cinema would be like, "Oh, I make films, but I never go to the movies."
Yeah. That's so
Dude,
crazy.
how? Like, why?
I
So
also
yeah,
I was in metal and hardcore bands before that, before getting into porn, and you would actually hear a lot of the same stuff where they would ask people in metal bands, be like, what metal bands do you listen to? And they're like, I don't listen to metal, I listen to pop. And you're just like, the
that's
fuck?
weird.
Yeah, it's
That's
weird
very
that
weird.
there's this like stuff about certain genres of art or film that people are almost afraid to admit that they are also consuming it.
Yeah.
What porn do you like watch just for you, if you don't mind me asking? Because usually
No,
most
of
people
course
don't
not.
bring that up.
No, I love saying it. I think it's important to say it. I think it's okay to talk about it, and I think like the porn conversation should be like really easier, you know? So I'm always telling people, yes, I watch porn. I watch porn all the time. I love it. I'm not working in porn because I don't like it. I'm working in porn because I love it.
Hmm.
And
Same.
so for me, I think the thing that I like the most is like your most like basic mainstream stuff. I really love watching all the major like US studios like Brothers.
Okay.
I love their shit. Like I've been watching them for years, and I remember maybe 15 years ago I was watching a lot of like Naughty America also
Oh
videos because
yeah.
they had the one that because I love what I love really it's the cliches and the tropes that are like so like really basic, like you're the teacher and the student, the nurse, the doctor, like all kinds of shit like that. It's like when there's like a kind of like I don't know, like a costume,
Hmm.
I don't know, a dentist, a stewardess, whatever. This I love. For me, it's like because it's
You love the
yeah,
uniform.
it's ridiculous because like and it's what I like is it's when it's like 100% ridiculous. That's what I love. So I've been watching a lot of this lately. Yeah, the one that I always come back to is the stewardess and also bride films like when there's like a bride somewhere somehow. I don't
Mm.
know. I think it's fun. But it's also, the costume. Like there's
Yeah.
not a uniform, but yeah, costume. So I don't know what I watch a lot. I've discovered a studio lately that I've been watching, but I think they're produced probably in Eastern Europe or or Russia. And it's called, I think it's VIP 4K, but they have like different branches. So they have like Daddy 4K, Mom 4K, I don't know, Hunted 4K, and so it's like a different trope. So it's also like the basic stuff, like I don't know, some dude introducing his girlfriend to the dad, and then the dude is like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to make a phone call," and he goes out, and then the dad and the girlfriend start fucking, and so like it's really stupid, but I don't know, I love it.
But it's fun. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, also MILF movies now, because like I'm supposed to be a MILF, and I've been watching a lot of MILF porn because I wanted to see what the what's the deal about it, because now I have
Nice.
to like kind of like play into it because I'm 40. So I can't be like the student anymore. I can't be like the cutesy student and like really innocent girly. So now I'm like, okay, let's try and see what the MILF thing is all about. So I've been watching a lot of MILF videos, and I'm into it, I have to say. Maybe I'll start doing MILF content. I think it's yeah, I think it's fun.
So the porn you make is very different than the porn you watch. I feel like
Yeah.
right now, for me, the porn I make and the porn I watch is like identical. And it's
Ooh.
really crazy. Yeah, because like in the early part of my career, I wasn't shooting that much BDSM stuff, but that's all I would watch. So like now, I have to be selective about it. So like I know a lot of people in BDSM porn, so I can't watch that much American stuff from this current era. So like Public Disgrace was before me. Like that's a number one. Chanta's Bitches is just right before me. That's another lesbian site that was in San Francisco in like 2012. So like they're just before me, so I don't know them. Or like any Eastern European porn. I feel like I have enough distance from that scene where I'm not like, oh, that's my friend in this porno, you know?
Oh, I mean, I'm gonna say something, maybe it's going to be controversial, or maybe some
Go
friends of
for
mine
it.
are gonna hate it, but I really don't mind watching porn with my friends in it. On the contrary, and I really have this ability to like distance myself from the fact that I know this person in real life, because I know what it is to be in a porn movie. Like you are also kind of performing,
Hmm.
pretending, playing, and so sometimes if like because I had a couple of friends in the mainstream in France, and so sometimes would be on tubes and you can see their movies, whereas
Hmm.
my alternative porn friends, you don't see them on tubes that often.
Yeah, as
But
much.
sometimes I'll be like, clicking on whatever browser's movie, and I'll be like, oh my God, that's my friend then, and I'm really not bothered. Sometimes I have to say, sometimes I think it's even more probably exciting because you're like, oh, I know this person in real life, and you can tell how good of a performer they are, or you can tell if they're faking or not faking, which I think it's really fun. Like it's another level of like, I don't know. I really don't mind watching my friends in their porn
Yeah.
movies.
See
Really.
if it's a dom who I worked with, sometimes it'll be like more positive. Because if they're
Hmm.
fucking up another girl, I'm like, oh, they fucked me up like that. I'm included in this. Um, but yeah, I think the thing I really love about lesbian BDSM specifically is there's always the moment in the scene where you can see when it gets real.
Mm,
Like
mm.
it's all content trade until you start getting hit by like a flogger or something, and then it's a very real moment where it's like, okay,
Hmm.
we are two girls who are doing content trade right now, but also I'm chained up right now. You're hitting me with this. I'm being turned
Yeah,
on by this. You're getting turned
yeah,
on by this. It
yeah,
becomes, I think, kind of breaks the fourth wall at some point where I'm like, okay, this
yeah.
is real.
And and also I know that I know now, I didn't know before, but I know now that I kind of have like a performer face or a performer voice. Because the other day, like my friend June, who is in the movie Wrong Holes Only,
Mhm.
she was at home, and I was like editing one of my clips, one of my content, I don't know, all in OnlyFans collabs,
Mhm.
whatever. And I was editing the movie, and she was watching the movie, and she was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I was like, "What do you mean? What the fuck is this?" I'm like, "It's a collab for OnlyFans." But it's like, but what are you doing? Like, how much like did you enjoy it? And I was like, well, yeah, whatever. Because she was like, I've seen you fuck in real life, and you don't sound like that at all. I feel like you're like so like pretending and like being over the top. And I'm like, well, yeah, because like it's
It's
porn, I'm
porno.
performing, I was like, yeah, because I'm a performer, and I was performing. I was not like being I was not coming that hard, you know? And she was like, "Oh my God, it's so scary to see you like pretend so much because I've seen you in real life and I know that's not how you look like when you're like actually enjoying yourself." And I was like, "Well, you can't enjoy yourself at every collab and every shoot, so sometimes
Yeah.
you have to. I mean, we are performers in the end, you know?"
Yeah, I would like to say most of my performances are real, but like, sometimes you have to give a little bit of acting with it. Like sometimes that happens.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like that I'm pretending 100%, but also I know what the especially for OnlyFans, you know, like I know what the people are expecting, and
Hmm.
I know what positions they're expecting. I know they're expecting me to enjoy myself and to be loud and to be, you know, like porny,
Yeah.
mainstreamy, and I'm giving that because I also think that it's cool and like remembering my young self, I think that it's so great and amazing that I ended up being a porn performer and I'm being filmed and pretending to come so hard in a movie, and I think it's funny actually. I think it's funny to be like, "Oh my God, look, I'm a porn performer," and I'm pretending and like be like, "Oh my God." And you know, I think it's really fun, and I remember like my young self like, you know, I think she would have loved that so much. So, I'm kind of also doing that for her because yeah.
Well, speaking of that, like, so how old were you when you got into porn? Obviously, you're based in France. That's where you probably
Yes.
started your porn career, right?
Yes. Yes, I started I mean, I started in the industry as a journalist before. So
Mm.
like my first foot like that I set in the porn industry was writing articles for a website that was like only like dedicated to porn culture, which I loved. Like I loved reading this magazine because I was like, "Oh, this is great because they're talking about porn, but like they're talking about porn like very seriously and
Hmm.
earnestly and like talking about, you know, the industry, the trends, whatever." And I thought it was, you know, amazing. So I wanted to write for them, which I ended up doing. And so at first I was only like writing about porn. I remember doing a piece about, you know, the schoolgirl trope because that's the main thing that I loved. I remember writing a piece about like True Blood, like the series, because it was very porny
Hmm.
and like, you know, talking about all that stuff. And at some point the editor in chief was like, "Okay, we have to write about webcam because webcam is a big thing at the moment." I think it was 2013. And so he said, "I'm gonna like try to model as a webcam boy and see what it's about." And I was like, "Oh, that's actually a good idea. Like I could, you know, like set up my webcam, see how it goes and write about it." And
Hmm.
that's how I started the webcam for the first time, and I loved it. And I couldn't stop after that because I was like, "Oh my God, this was great." Like it was such a rush, like having people watching you and tipping you. And what I really loved is that after the webcam show, I was able to write about it, which is
Hmm.
something that has always been important for me, like to kind of like, I don't know, help people understand what porn is about, like trying to explain, trying to write, trying to talk. And ever since that I've done so much like panels and conferences and interviews, etc. Because for me it's also very important. So it was great because like I was camming and then writing about it and then camming some more and then writing about it some more. And for me it was everything was great because I loved camming, I loved writing, and that's how I started. And this was in 2014, so 11 years ago, and that means I was 30. I was
Okay.
30. So it was late. Like it was very late. I know it was late. It was actually probably too late to start doing porn, but I felt it was the right moment for me. I needed this at that moment in my life. So,
I feel like the one thing I've learned from this podcast is I've had people start porn at all different ages. I've had people on
mm,
here who started when they were still in high school at 18
mm, mm.
to people who started at, I think, in their 50s, where I feel like there's just like no right or wrong time to get into porn. Because I felt like I was late to it. I started at 20 and I was like, oh my God, if I had those 2 more years.
I know.
I'm
Oh
like,
my God. But maybe it's probably because you were in, did you work in mainstream like from the get-go?
no, I started camming. So I was
Okay.
in my small town in Michigan named Holland, really tiny, only like 30,000 people. It's essentially like if you imagine just like some random town in the Netherlands randomly put in the United States. That's basically what it was like.
Okay.
So I just like that was I got into camming because that was like the easiest form of sex work.
Okay, I
Because
get
it was
it.
like yeah, more like a rural area, not a lot of people. No one was really shooting porn, so
Yeah.
I got into it then.
Um, yeah. I think I think I think for me, yes, I don't think there's a good or a bad time to start doing porn. I think the moment like you feel it, it's the moment you have to do it.
Hmm.
And I know that for me it was at a moment where I was like at a point in my life where I didn't know what the fuck I was doing with my life. I was kind of depressed. I was not I was not good in my body. I was not good in my life. I needed something. I needed to reconnect with myself, reconnect with my sexuality, also reconnect with my bisexuality because for some reason, um, I, my ex-boyfriend was ashamed of me being bisexual, and for some reason I let him be that way
Ah.
because I was young and I didn't understand that it was like not a thing that you can do to people. And
Hmm.
I remember that I had to hide the fact that I was bisexual so that he wouldn't feel ashamed. Why I don't know why like but and so it was all this moment where I was like okay well like who am I what's my sexuality what's my body how do I fit into this new body
Hmm.
that I have and that's why it felt at the right moment to start yeah getting a I don't know getting in touch with myself and my body and camming helped me so much I gained so much confidence I realized that I was like really like worried about nothing for probably 10 or 15 years, because I was raised as a woman and as a woman you're raised to never feel enough, good enough, pretty enough,
Hmm.
tall enough, white enough, whatever. And camming helped me so much with that, so much. I felt confident again, or maybe for the first time in my life. And it helped me in everything I do in my life. Like that's not porn. Like it came at the perfect time for me. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was already 30, so I was like, oh, I should like you. I was like, oh my God, if I had the 10 years that I could
Yeah.
have done porn before.
It's so true. It is really interesting. I feel like when you make your first like 20 euros when you're
Mm.
camming and it's just like in your bedroom and you're like, oh my God, there can just be money coming in like that. Like it's so crazy at first.
Yeah. I remember what I bought with it was so stupid because I remember the first thing that I bought for myself with the camming money. And it was just like a how do you say it, like it was kind of like just like a duvet for the couch, like
Hmm.
a kind of cozy like kind of like plat for the couch, and I was like just so happy about it, and I still have it to this day, and I'm like, oh, it's the one I bought with the cam money because it was a stupid random object, but for the first time I was paying something with money that I felt that I made myself for myself and that I earned. And I didn't even think that I could make money with my body because I didn't like my body. I thought that I was like, you know, too small, too fat. I don't know, whatever. And
Hmm.
I was like, oh my God, this I made with my body, it's my money that I made with my body and myself, and I was just so fucking proud of it. So proud,
Yeah, that's
really.
so amazing.
Yeah.
Who like really inspired you when you got into the industry further? Like, were there any performers or filmmakers that you really looked up to?
Mm, yeah. I think most of the people who influenced me were actually not porn performers at first. I think they were, the feminists of the internet, like
Yes.
Twitter feminists and
Hmm.
Instagram feminists, because I had like because I was writing for the magazine, I had like a following on Twitter who came like pretty easily because the magazine was quite popular at the time, and so I started like having like followers like women, and I was like starting to see who they were. They were like photographers, writers, journalists, editor-in-chiefs of big magazines, people who were like writing thesis about gender studies or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, all these women are so amazing. They're doing so much. And I saw them like sometimes, like doing kind of like cutesy nudes on Instagram
Hmm.
when it was allowed, before the big censorship came. Like you could actually had like semi-nude pictures on the Instagram, and everyone was doing them at the time, like in the like kind of like the French community. And I think they encouraged me like to accept my body and to like do also like take pictures of myself nude. And that's how I started to have the confidence to actually, be like, okay, I can try to be a cam model maybe. And then when I got into the industry, I mean, I already knew from way before like the French director OVD,
Hmm.
because she was a porn performer in the early 2000s. Now she's a director. She's directed many documentaries. She started like directing porn movies, like porn feature films, but then doing like lots of like mainstream documentaries. And now she has like a series, and she actually won an Emmy for her series, for the first season of her series now. So like
It's
amazing.
amazing.
And yeah, and I was always so inspired by her because now I realize that it might not have been for the right reasons, but at the time, like in France, she was kind of like the smart porn performer because she was like a student. She was studying, I don't know, literature or philosophy, and when she was like doing interviews, she was very eloquent and very smart. And I was like, wow, like I was like so impressed because I was like, oh my God. So like I felt like a connection to this person, and I was like, okay, so that means that I could do porn, and it would be okay. Like I don't know, so in sometimes I think in my head it already was something like, oh, so this person is like, like studying big stuff but still making porn on the side. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. Like I would love to do that, but I didn't feel that I was pretty enough to do porn at the time.
Hmm.
And I had the chance of meeting OVD when in Berlin, I think it was in 2016 or 17. And I could not believe, like, I was like, oh my God, I remember this person from 15 years ago that I was watching her movies and watching her interviews. And now I'm like having lunch with her. And in my head, it was just like, because I was such a porn fan.
Yeah,
I was watching porn. I've been watching porn for years, and now like to be able to talk to the people that I was watching on my computer like way before, and having interesting conversations with her. And for me it was great. And I know that she's always been an inspiration for me because she's written books, she's directed documentaries, now she has a series, and it also gives me, I don't know, kind of like a hope that if I ever want to stop doing porn, I can do so many more things after it. And
for
it's,
sure.
yeah, and I love her. And also, obviously, like meeting Vex Ashley from Four Chambers,
Yeah.
it's been amazing because I don't think, and I'm always telling her like because I have this, like I said, I was a journalist, and so at first I had like a very external vision of the porn industry. And I always tell Vex now, like, you have no idea how much you've changed porn and how
Hmm.
much you've changed the industry yourself. And I think people are gonna study whatever you brought to the porn scene for years and years and years to come
For
because
sure.
you've made such a difference. Because the movies before Four Chambers and after Four Chambers, you can tell when you're in the festivals, the
Hmm.
influence she's had on so many people who wanted like started doing porn because of Four Chambers. And even me, sometimes I make a movie and I feel like, we have a saying in France when you're doing things, but like kind of like bad or in a cheap way, that it's from Wish or from Timu, you know?
Hmm. Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
I was watching my own movie and I was like, oh my God, girl, you just made like a Four Chambers from Timu. Because I felt like it
It's
was
still
like,
good though. I mean, I would take Timu Four Chambers any day, but
but I could feel the
yeah.
influence of her work because now I've known her for what, like maybe, yeah, almost 10 years as well. And I could feel the influence of her work, of her, and the impact she's had on the industry. I don't think she even realizes that, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think the coolest thing about Four Chambers is being on their set. It's just like any other set with just a bunch of queer people trying to make shit. And like, I think that's the biggest difference where when I first worked with them, I was like, whoa, I'm getting a mainstream rate. This is crazy. And then it was just like, okay, we have like liquid latex and we have like orange filters for the cameras. Let's see what happens. And it really just like reminded me of just like hanging out with queer friends and being like, we're just gonna make something. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out. Like that it was
Yeah.
that loose, I think is just so cool because I feel like there's so much stuff with porn that's like so over thought out and that is just so genuine with Four Chambers that is just it naturally happens. It's just naturally an artistic outlet.
Yeah.
I think is just so fucking cool that I don't know. It really makes me feel hopeful about how this whole scene's gonna be remembered, in 10 or
Yeah,
20
for sure.
years.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And yeah, and that's also one of the subjects that actually it's actually like really close to my heart at the moment. It's how everything we're discussing now, the 10 years that have passed and the 10 years before, how are they going to be remembered? How are they going to be archived? And how are people going to think about them in like 10 or 20 years, you know?
Hmm.
Because I know I've written so many articles about the rise of the tubes and how much they changed the industry when YouTube and then new porn and then Pornhub arrived, and
Hmm.
how much it's changed. And I'm like, I really hope that someday, sometime, people are gonna just like look at everything we've been doing in the 2010s and 2010s and 2020s and be like, oh, they did some good shit, you know? And
For
like try
sure.
to, yeah, try to, I don't know, archive everything, especially now because we can see that, archiving is interesting because people tend to, I don't know, erase or delete things and burn some books. So I'm really worried about like how it's gonna survive and how we can make everything we're doing survive for after.
Yeah, I think in 50 years there's gonna be queer people and trans people who are gonna be like, there was this whole thing where people would travel the world screening their queer art and porn and be like, how did that happen? And like, I think about that sometimes where I didn't think my 20s were going to be traveling, all over Europe, screening in Japan, like all this crazy shit that you just never expect,
Yeah,
especially as like a trans artist in their 20s. I don't think there's any other medium that I could have gotten into that would have this. I think
same.
it's like it's crazy like that we literally had our art go all around the world and
Yeah, yeah,
that's just like a very
yeah.
average thing for porn right now.
And I sometimes I can like barely even fathom like how much I've traveled and how many
Mm-hmm.
people, amazing people I've met in the 10 years that I've been doing that. Because like I don't know, I remember when I was like, because I went to business school, which was probably the most horrible years of my life. But at the time I didn't know that I was queer. So now that I know, I'm like, oh, well, that's why I wasn't a good fit for a business school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to business school, and I remember being like, oh, I wanna have like a great job and like make good money so that I can have like work overseas and maybe travel and meet people from around the world, etc., etc. But then when I actually like finished business school, I realized that the work that was there like was like neither international, neither interesting, neither, I don't know. I was like, oh, this is really not what I imagined. And then 10 years after, like just being able to create art and share it and travel. Like it's only May and I've already been to probably 6 countries this year.
Yeah.
I've been to Amsterdam, to London, to Switzerland, to Madrid, and I was in Brussels for the Porn Festival last week, and I'm amazed. And I always tell people that I'm lucky enough that my parents put me through school and to have like a what you would call like a good education.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember having met people who were that great before entering the porn industry. Because now I'm like hanging out with people who are like researchers, scientists,
Mm-hmm.
directors, photographers, performers, activists, writing theses, like doctors who have like written so many papers on porn studies, gender studies, whatever. Like people who are like making porn, but on the side they're also like directing major movies or major clips or documentaries and winning awards and like sometimes like doing TED Talks, speaking with the governments of their
Mm-hmm.
countries to advocate for the sex workers' right. And I'm like, I feel so lucky to be part of this and to have all these amazing people around me and they made me grow so much, you know? And it's the first time in my life that I feel, yeah, that elevated by the people who are around me, you know?
Yeah, I feel like it's so interesting because you like, especially early on, I was like, okay, this is the peak when I got to like go to New York the first time and do that. And then it was like, oh, I get to go to Europe the first time And then it was like, oh, I get to do a screening in Japan. I get to experience this. And it's just like you feel like you're always like, okay, this is gonna be it. And then it just keeps happening. Like last week I screened in India and I'm just like, there's no reality in the world where growing up in a small Dutch town in the States that I ever thought my art was gonna go to the other side of the planet like that. And it's just like porn has really enabled a lot of people, especially queer and trans people, to really get their art all over the world. And it's so crazy to think about because it becomes so casual, where it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, I have a screening right now in Vienna, but I'm going about my day as normal, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I remember, especially in 2024, because when we released the documentary I made last year, Remote
Hmm.
Sex Work, we sent it to so many festivals, and 6 months in, the movie had been screened in like Spain and England, and then France and Belgium and the Netherlands, and then it started like going to the States and Chile. And now they're asking, I don't even remember which country is asking me for the movie now, but I'm like, oh my God, the movie has been screened in at least already like 15 countries. Like I
Yeah.
never thought that I could have access to things like that. And it's all thanks to porn. I made
It,
a documentary. I never thought I could because I'm not from the cinema world
mhm.
or the cinema studies. And sometimes I wake up and like, fuck, I make a documentary and it's been screened in 15 countries and I just can't even like realize. And yeah, it's incredible, really. It's amazing.
Yeah, I feel like it's crazy when your work has gone more places than you have. That's where I'm at right now, where I
Yeah.
think my work's been to like 20 some countries. I've been to like 11 or 12. So I'm like, okay, my art's doing more than I am, but yeah, I think it's just such a crazy thing. And even just being able to talk about this because like we've both been in this for a minute and just like having this reflection time, I feel is like so crazy because when you're in the middle of it, you're like, okay, I need to get this edit out. I need to meet this deadline for this. I need to do all this stuff. And just having a second to look back and be like, oh my God, our
Yeah.
whole like porn friend group has literally made art that's gone around the world so many times.
Yeah. That's what I try to wake up and try to remember it every day because when like it's been pretty hard lately. Because like yeah, I made a documentary, but like I didn't get any money from it almost. And
Hmm.
so sometimes I'm like I really want to just like give up and be like, okay, let's find a normal job and have a like a decent salary incoming.
Hmm.
And sometimes I try to like I wake up and I try to be like, okay, like dude, you have to remember everything you did in the past 10 years. It's like I know the money is not there, but like you've made so many things that you never thought you could do. Like
Hmm.
be like making movies, performing in movies for other people, like being on TV, be going to like advocate for my people at the government. Like I went to the actual Senate in France, and
Hmm.
sometimes I forget it, and so sometimes I have to be like, okay, like think back, like just take a moment and think back to everything you've done, every places you've been, every people you've met, and it really like kind of grounds me and be like, okay, let's try again, let's keep trying, let's keep doing it.
Hmm.
Really.
Yeah, I'm just so glad that we get to talk about this and have a
Yeah.
platform because it's so crazy. So, obviously, you've done a lot over your career so far. Is there like anything that you really still want to shoot that's like your dream
Oh yeah.
project?
Oh yeah,
What is
because
it?
actually it's so weird because I feel like I'm spending more time talking about porn and advocating about porn and making documentaries about porn, and
Hmm.
actually I think like I want to make more porn because I feel like I haven't made enough. And people sometimes like they don't want to ask me to be a performer in their movies because they think that I only perform in my movies, which is not true. Like so like hire me. I'm ready to do stuff. Like I was so lucky to perform for Chambers. And I really want to perform for Harvard because I love what Paulita is doing with
Hmm.
the gangbangs. Like it's so
So
great.
cool.
So I want to shoot more porn, that's for sure. And I have this dream. I really want one day to have enough budget to have like to make an actual proper movie with like a costume designer, makeup person, a sound person,
Hmm.
everything. Because I have this idea to do a movie where the main character like kind of goes back in time So that would mean, having a decor, having costumes. I mean, not far back in time, like just probably the 90s, but like
Okay.
if you want to film something that looks 90s, you have to have a place to do it and people dressed in a certain way and made up in a certain way and the hair done in a certain way. So I know that I'm gonna have to have a lot of budget just for that part. But I have this main idea that yeah, like it would be kind of like a movie about I don't know, like maybe healing my inner teenager, young adult self,
Hmm.
probably. Because when I was like a teenager, I was like very frustrated because I knew that I loved sex. I wanted to have so much sex and I wanted to have sex with men and women. And I was held back by my education. And I know that I could have done so much more weird and fun stuff and crazy stuff, but I didn't because I was like a very good girl. I was a goody goody, so I was very wise and very, put together. And I kind of want to go back and like you do a movie where I would go back in time and be like, okay, you know what? This time I'm not letting things, slip away. So, something like that. But would need so much budget, so much budget. But it would be my dream movie for sure.
Well, here's hoping you get that budget.
Let's.
You definitely deserve it. Yeah, it's so like were you just like not interested in porn when you were like a teen? Because I was super late to porn. I didn't watch porn on my own until I was at least 18. I was very, very late. I never masturbated until I think I was 18 too.
Oh no, I was not late at all. The thing is, okay, so people have to keep in mind that I am right now, I am 40 years old,
Yeah.
actually 40.9 because my birthday is the day after tomorrow, so I'll be
Oh my
41 in,
God.
yes, I'll
Early
be
happy
41.
birthday.
I think I'll be 41 in 2 days. So when I was growing up, there was no internet. Like I didn't have access to internet
That's true.
before probably the age of 16 or 17. But there were like probably like in France, in Europe, we had like kind of like sexy TV shows that would air
For
late at
sure.
night. And so I would tape them and watch them when no one was around. And I kid you not, I was probably like 13, maybe 13 or 14. Like I started masturbating like really early, like probably I was 12, maybe
Oh
before
wow.
with the shower head. Yeah. I remember the first time I was very surprised because no one had taught me about sex. So I was like, what the fuck is happening? And so I was like, I don't know what's happening, but I like it. And so, like, I kept doing it. And I started watching actual porn when I could get my hands on the internet. And as soon as I had the internet, I was like Googling like lesbian porn. And I remember my mom once found because I didn't know how to wipe the history, because
Oh
it was
no.
it was very early. We didn't know
Hmm.
how the internet worked, etc. And I
Yeah.
don't know what my mom did on the computer, and she found the history, and she was like, "Oh my God, what is this lesbian porn? Oh my God!" And I was like, "Oh fuck!" And so I pretended, like, lucky enough, I had a brother, so I don't know. Maybe she thought it was him. I don't know.
Oh, yeah,
And
you had an easy pass on that.
yeah. But yeah, I was 16, 17, and I started watching porn as soon as I could because I really really loved it. And as soon as I moved out of my parents' house, it was on, like renting at the time, like I was renting movies or even VHS tapes probably because it was so long ago. But yeah, renting porn, watching porn all the time and to this day. So, and I remember, it's so funny because I remember the first porn movie I watched on TV, the first actual porn movie, like it was a feature film. And because I was dating this guy and he had a tape, the tape at your parents' place that's like it's a porn movie. And so he was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
do you want to watch a porn movie?" And I was like, "Yes, of course I want to watch a porn movie." And I remember to this day which movie it was. And it's really fun because it's a French mainstream movie. It's called in English it would be The Princess and the Whore. And the scenario was two dudes being like in one of these weird countries in France where there's a princess, and they were
Hmm.
like, "Oh, we should switch the princess and like grab whatever whore we can find and switch the princess and the whore and pretend that it was actually the whore who was the princess all along and see what happens." And so they put the princess in the street and they put the sex worker in the castle, and that's
Hmm.
the plot of the movie. And I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I went to visit Dorcel's headquarters in Paris, and I
Hmm.
told them, I was like, "Oh, I remember the first porn movie I watched. It was a Dorcel movie from the late 90s, and it was The Princess and the Whore." And they sent me the poster of the
Oh my
movie,
God.
and it's signed by Marc Dorcel, who created Dorcel Studios in 1979. So
Oh
he's
my
like, I think,
God.
85 years old now. And so I have the poster of the movie signed by the director. And when I got this, I was like, wow, like I could not believe it. Because like I remember so vividly watching the movie and being so excited about, this thing, like women, I don't know, like owning their bodies and their sexualities. And I was like, oh my God, this is great. And yeah, 20 years later, I have the poster, the signed poster of that same movie. And I think it was so, I don't know, it was so funny and so great.
That's so amazing you have that. Also, that sounds like
Yeah.
the most French possible porno
Oh,
plot.
yeah. Oh,
Like extremely,
it
where I'm
is
like,
very European because it was
yeah.
shot in an actual kind of like castle-y mansion, whatever in
Hmm.
France, very Versailles or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100% stupidly European and French, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm like, if you told me a French porn plot, like it'd be something like that. I wonder if anyone's
Yeah.
shot porn in Versailles yet because you can stay there now.
Oh, that's true. I remember seeing that. And you can stay there. And also, I saw that you can now stay at the Moulin Rouge as well. And I was like,
Oh,
oh,
really?
interesting because, yeah, because like really places that I would love to shot porn, but I don't know. But now I kind of want to do it now that you mentioned it. Because,
I
like,
feel
I
like you
mean,
could create so much like media buzz in France where they'd be like, "Oh my God."
I'll probably, yeah, I don't think it would be a good idea though, because like they already hate me. Uh, there's an official report from the government where my name is quoted a couple times, and it's a bunch of insults. Like the worst things that I've read about myself, it's written in an official report from the government. So if I, on top of that, go to Versailles and shoot porn in Versailles, I think I'm done for. So
But
maybe
like
not, maybe.
I feel like
I
having any of
know.
these traditional colonialist governments having you on a list is probably in your favor in some ways.
That's
Like
what people say, but it wasn't a good feeling reading
yeah,
the
of
nasty shit
course.
that they wrote about me. But people say like, oh, maybe it's because they're scared of you because they can see that whatever you're saying, they don't have any counter arguments, so they're just like trashing you now. And I'm like, well, maybe. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Porn in Versailles. I mean, I'll keep that in mind. I mean, there's so many castles and houses in France that could really pass for Versailles that I'm like, yeah, why not? But maybe it would be too French. I don't know. I have to remember that I'm also half Mexican, so like I I tend to lean in too much on the French side. Because like my first movie, my first porn was about wine, about French wine. And yeah, very French. And I'm like, you're too French now. So I have to remember that I'm also Mexican and
I mean,
that,
you could
you
also go
know,
to Mexico, make a movie there.
I would love to. I haven't ever shot in Mexico and I really would love to. Like, I remember shooting with Lina Bembe when we shot
Hmm.
Guacamole. It was because, people were like, oh my God, you're so French, you and your porn about wine, etc. And I was like, no, I'm not that French. I was a bit, like, I was like, no, I'm not that French, which I totally am. But I was like, okay, also like what can I find in my Mexican heritage that I could like put into a porno? And that's why I made Guacamole with Lina Bembe, which is a movie that people love, so I was grateful. But 100% I would love to shoot something in Mexico because now there's with OnlyFans and everything, you there's like so many new performers now
Hmm.
in countries where they didn't have like like studios, as you said, like people like start doing their own porn in places where there are no studios. And now in Mexico, there are so many people who are actually like shooting porn there, and I'd be excited actually,
Do you know
for sure.
Ramses Rodstein?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, he's a Mexican American performer and has done like a lot of very Mexican inspired work
yes,
that's been in
yeah,
Berlin and kind
yes.
of all over the
Yeah,
place.
yeah. I saw the movies, and they are indeed very Mexican.
Yeah, very.
I need to do something like that. I think, yeah, I would love to.
Yeah, that's so cool. I can't wait to see like what you make in the future. Just that you're like still
Thank you.
creating and doing all this stuff is just so
I'm trying. I'm trying. It's yeah, the situation in France is not helping politically and with the new like age verification law that they just put in. So it's a bit like disheartening because I feel like I've been working for 10 years and you know, you never know if tomorrow you're gonna be able to keep working. So, but I know that every time I send a movie to a festival, it gets such a positive response.
Hmm.
Like Wrong Holes Only that we made with June and Revenge. Like we won two times like best short movie. We won
Oh my
in
God.
Berlin, best short movie in Berlin and best short movie in Brussels, which are my two favorite festivals. And when this happened, I was like, dude, you can't stop making movies because now when you make movies, they actually win prizes. So like that's a sign that you need to keep doing them. So
For
it was
sure.
really, yeah, it was so it felt really great to be like, okay, so what I'm doing is not completely, you know, stupid or lame. Maybe there's something there that I need to keep pushing, so I'm trying.
I think it's just like really about if you're getting these moments that are really important to you out of this, like
Hmm?
sometimes I get burnt out and then I have a screening like being able to screen my Public Disgrace in Amsterdam was like really fucking meaningful to me,
Yeah.
where I was like, this is like the screening that all this has been working up to for like 10 years. And I think it's just like what you're getting out of it more than anything
Yeah, for
with
sure.
continuing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, yeah, 100%. I don't know. I have many ideas and I know that June wants to do another movie and I'm like, dude, we have to do it well because the last one we made won prizes. So now if we don't win, I'm gonna be sad. So but she has amazing ideas and she's very like she has intense ideas, I think, and I love her approach to BDSM, and I think it fits well with my very kind of like girly pop, you know, goody goody vibes. So it's like a major contrast that I think works well. And she told me what her idea was for the next movie, and I was like, oh my God, it's even worse than I was like really like kind of like, oh no, why are you doing this to me? It's even worse than the last time.
The
But it's
last
gonna
one
be
was crazy. Yeah,
the
we had a
last one
screening
was crazy.
together in Amsterdam 2 years ago. I was screening fucking Mystic, my gangbang, and Wrong Holes Only was in the same screening. It was just like, holy shit, you guys are doing some really crazy stuff with like
Yeah.
insertion literally everywhere, and I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah. If
It's so
people want to
cool.
check it out, I think it's on. I'm gonna put it up on Pink Label soon. I talked with Lee and asked them if it was okay because the movie being like so, I want to say extreme, even though like it's not extreme, but it's extreme for you know the payment processors and Visa and Mastercard. They're probably not gonna be happy about it, but G said no, no. Of course we want the movie in, so it's gonna be up on Pink Label very soon, and I
Hmm.
think. Yeah, I think it's a weird movie, but I love it. I every time, you know, when I watch my movies, I don't know if it's the same for you, but sometimes when I'm at the screening and I watch my own movies, I'm always like, oh no, I should change that. I should re-edit it. I should
Yeah.
do the color grading is off at whatever, whatever. But every time I watch Wrong Holes Only in a screening, the only thing I can say at the end is like, wow, we did a good job. And it's the only movie that I made that at the end I'm like, it's cool, it's great. Nothing, I don't want to change anything. And this feeling is just like so rare that I'm so happy that every time I watch this movie, I'm like, yeah, we did a good job. We did a good job. And I'm proud of it so much.
I think like editing for these festival movies are so different because you have to like be aware that you're going to be in a theater with like a few hundred people watching it, and
Uh-huh.
if you fuck up on it, you're editing, you're gonna cringe during it
Yeah.
and you're gonna be like, "Oh
Yeah.
my God, why did I do this?" Everyone knows, and you just have to like really go through it so many times that you're like, "Okay, this is great. I don't have to worry about this.
Yeah.
Everything looks like it's supposed to." And I feel like that's like such a different thing with American porn because I feel like editing here is just like, okay, I need to get this out. Where with the festival circuit, you really have to be
Do it
precise with it
well.
and yeah, do it
Yes.
well. Make sure you're not gonna feel uncomfortable when the movie's screening.
Because the thing is, when you're at festivals, like I don't know, like maybe people haven't been to a porn film festival, but when you're at a festival and you go to one screening, sometimes you watch 10 movies in a row.
Hmm.
And so like watching long movies or bad movies when you're watching 10 in a row, it's a bore. Like it's so boring. It's so
Hmm.
annoying. And even if the movie is good, even if the movie is great, if it's too long, it's it's annoying because you can't watch a 30-minute porn in a screening with 10 other movies. You know, it's too much. And I
Yeah.
know that some of the directors, who I'm not gonna name, but you know, they send movies to festivals which are 27, 28, 30 minutes long, where we know that they do have the means to do a festival edit. And I think it's disrespectful for other people because when you send a 30-minute movie, that means that you take space for three people instead of just yourself. And people don't need to watch 30-minute porn movies in festivals. And so that's why I'm always trying because when I'm putting out a movie, I think about, okay, what do I want the people to jerk off to on my website and what do I want the people at the festivals to see? And so the two edits are different because I think that in a festival you don't need to see all the porny stuff. Like you need to see some porny stuff because it's still porn and we can't be like hypocritical about it. But you don't need 45 minutes of pounding and fucking and whatever. Like you know. And so
I,
yeah, I think the festival edit is very important. And when I'm in one of my movies and I can feel that it's too long, I'm like I'm cringing, like for real. I'm like, oh no, why is this blowjob so long, and why is this fingering so long? People are gonna get bored, they're gonna hate my movie. So yeah,
yeah.
it's really, yeah.
Yeah,
You have to
I'm
consider the festival tour, of course.
yeah, I kind of am very guilty of that. Not gonna
Yeah, but
lie. Yeah, my public disgrace was an hour and a half that I just screened in Amsterdam.
yes, but it's very different because your movie is a feature film. It's 1 hour and a half.
Yeah.
And if the festivals are going to screen it, they're going to screen it
Yeah.
as a whole, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and have a special screening about it, which I think is fine. I mean, I've been in, I think, three feature films that have been screened in Berlin, you
Mm-hmm.
know, as a whole. And yes, it's normal. But if you have just like a short clip, you can't send a 25-minute short clip. It's too long. It's too
Yeah.
long. For me, it has to be shorter. I just came back from a festival and I think 20 minutes, it's, you know, like don't go over 20 minutes. It's too much. It's too much. And you have to think about the audience. You have to think about, you know, like the longer your movie, the less people are gonna be able to have a chance to enter the festival because your movie is too long and it's taking up space. I don't know. I'm always thinking about how people are gonna I think more about how people are gonna feel at the festival than actually on my website. But that's what I was saying at the beginning is that I have to think about what I want to make and what's going to sell. And sometimes the two just don't go together. So I really have to, it's almost sometimes, it's almost as if I'm making two movies, one
Mm-hmm.
for my subscribers and one for the festivals.
Yeah. I think I
But
do have
that's
some
it.
festival edits, but I'm definitely guilty of that. So
But you know, I wish sometimes I would make a movie that was like an hour long or maybe an hour and a half long, and I wish that they would have a screening. Because I feel also like it's such an honor because like you've had like your movie screened in a special screening. You know,
yeah.
it was not like, okay, let's watch like I don't know, BDSM short movies and there's like 10 movies, but when you have a feature film, it's like they're making up space for you and for yourself, which I've had with my documentary, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's like one screening and it's just your movie and just you in front of the audience. And I'm like, oh, this feels like special. So I'm really hoping that sometime I'll be able to have like to make like a feature film. And even if it's 1 hour and a half long, I hope the festivals are going to screen it because I think it's an honor, you know?
Yeah. Whenever that sh happens, it always is like, oh wow, this festival's really making space for my whole thing. And I think that's what made it so special screening that in Amsterdam, just because it was like the premiere of the movie. It was in a place where my family's originally from. I got engaged in Amsterdam, like all this other
Yeah.
stuff that
Yeah,
it was.
it's really kind of your like special place, special home outside of your own home, right?
Yeah, I mean, so where I'm actually from in Michigan is Dutch, but it's ultra conservative.
Mm,
So going
mm.
to Amsterdam the first time, I was like, wait, there's gay stuff everywhere, there's sex workers everywhere, there's all this stuff I'm interested in. Where back home, I'm like, I never thought about being Dutch twice, where I'm just like, everyone is this and everyone here kind of sucks. So it was
No.
like definitely a revelation. But yeah, I'm really excited. I hope we get to do more festivals together. Like getting
Yes,
to
me too.
hang out with you and Bishop, Black was so much fun.
It
Like,
was great, right? But I mean, really, if you want to try a new one in Europe, you need to come to Brussels. I've been seeing it, and you can talk about it with Bishop as well because Bishop Black was the jury at the Brussels Porn Film Festival,
mm,
and they said that the Brussels Porn Film Festival was giving Berlin a run for their money because
oh
it's a
really?
great, yeah, it's a great festival. It's a good selection, good vibes. Everyone is like so nice. The screenings are amazing. Like the BDSM screening this year was great, and everyone like came out of the screening being like, "Oh my God, this screening was fucking great!" And the parties are amazing. It's it's a great festival. So I highly recommend if people are in Europe to come to the Brussels Porn Film Festival next year. And we also obviously love the Berlin one. And Amsterdam is like, just like brand new, but like really, I think they're
Yeah.
going places.
Yeah, I feel like particularly Amsterdam, there's just such an untapped porn culture there because there's
Hmm?
so much sex work, but such little porn.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I really hope, like, that's, I feel like my next thing where I'm like, if I can do anything to try to help bring
Yeah.
that forward, that's like what I want to do the next 10 years because, yeah, it's just so fucking interesting that it's such a major sex work city. You have people doing full service literally all over the city, but you have such little actual porn being made there.
Hmm. And I was talking to one of the organizers of the Porn Film Festival Amsterdam
Hmm.
because we were at the Brussels one, and in Brussels they have like a Belgian short film
Hmm.
screening where it's only films that were made in Brussels or in Belgium. And one of the organizers of the Porn Film Festival Amsterdam was saying, "Oh my God, I wish that we had that in Amsterdam, that we had enough like Dutch movies that we could make a screening of 100% Dutch movies." And I was like, it's gonna happen because
Yeah.
what you are creating right now is a space for people to feel that they can do stuff. Like I wasn't making porn and then I went to Berlin and I was like, "Oh my God, I can do stuff. I can do it myself. I can
Yeah.
make my own porn." Because you see everything and you're so inspired. And I was like, "Wait for like maybe 1 year or 2 years and you'll see that people are going to come to the porn film festival and be like, 'Oh my God, I want to make porn.' And they're going to make Dutch porn and then you can have your Dutch screening."
Yeah.
Because look at what happened in Brussels. They had a festival and then now they have a whole screening because people are making so much movies in Belgium. And because it's also a place where sex work now, I mean, has been decriminalized. And so people are like starting to understand that sex work is work.
Yeah.
And people are starting to see porn as another form of art. And I'm like, wait for it. You'll see that in a couple of years, you'll have enough movies that were made in Amsterdam or in the Netherlands, and you'll be able to do a Dutch screening. Because what you're doing is so important to create the space for people to watch porn, to be inspired by porn, to meet people that are making porn, to realize that they also want to make porn. And that's what festivals are all about, for real.
Yeah, my big goal this next year is I want to get a few other Dutch movies nominated for AVN Awards. Because last year,
Cool.
I did a movie with Anna Lynx, in Amsterdam and got nominated, but we were the only Dutch movie at
Okay.
AVN. So I'm like, if I can help anyone else get nominated, I'm like, I want to have at least like three Dutch people there, just to be like, okay, we're here, we made it here.
I would feel so proud to be nominated in the United States for anything. Like, that's why I want to try to shoot more porn because I feel like getting a nomination for me it would be like pff, even just nominated, like not even winning. I'll be like, oh my God, I feel like it would be like I finally made it in the porn industry, but like because we always see the States as the heart of like the big major porn studios.
Hmm.
And man, being nominated for a something there, I would feel incredible. I'm gonna
I
have to
think we
work
can
on
try. I
moving.
think we can try to make that
Yeah,
happen.
we have to. Now I want to.
I'm like, as many of my weird European porn friends I can bring over for AVN, the better. Like, the more
I mean,
weirdos we have in our group.
I would love to be there. Like I've been watching mainstream porn for so many years. I'd feel I don't know, it would be like Disneyland for me. Like, you know, seeing all of your childhood heroes.
Yeah, it
I'll be
was
like, oh my God. Yeah.
that's AVN. I was waiting for my partner to use the bathroom, so I was just like standing next to the bar, and I look over, and Joanna Angel was there alone, and I was just like went up to her, and I'm
Oh.
like, "Oh my God, I used to be an emo girl when I was 18, and I didn't think I could do porn, and now I do because of you." And they just like hugged me.
But it's so great this feeling when people come to you at festivals and at things because
Yeah.
I've had this happen to me a couple times. Like it was so funny because one I think it was in Amsterdam actually, like someone came to me and was like, "Oh my God, Carmina, I'm so sorry. Can I disturb you for a minute because I watch your movies and I love them?" And I was like, "Yes, of course you can." Like I swear, like it's not that I'm not being harassed every day when I go out on the street by
Mm-hmm.
people who love my work. So yes, of course, when I'm at a festival, it's really okay to come, you know, because there's only like two places where people recognize me. It's porn film festivals and the lesbian bar in Paris. That's literally the two places where I know that I'm gonna get recognized if I go there, you know. But I'm like the feeling of people coming to you and being like, "Oh my God, I loved your work so much," and now I started to do my own films as well, or I'm inspired and I want to start doing porn. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy when people tell me that. So obviously, if I saw someone that I really look up to at the AVNs or anywhere else, I'll be yeah, like I'll be 100% happy to, and that's what I did when I met, because I'm lucky enough that I met like porn stars, like French porn stars like
Mm-hmm.
OVD and so many others, like Lisa Del Sierra, who's also worked in the States a lot, and Nikita Bellucci, and one of the performers from I think the 80s, that she was called Zara Whites, and I met her
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, wow, like you have no idea how much it meant for me to see like liberated women when I was growing up, you know, and I can't believe that I get to meet you and tell you in person. And yeah, it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling to be able to meet the people who inspired you and at the same time to meet people who you have inspired. It's a great feeling,
I feel
really.
like it's like being a porn performer who people look up to, where it's like we do have like these two or three places where people recognize us. I feel like it's
Mm,
like being like an indie pop star where 90% of your life nobody gives a fuck, but then you'll meet the random person who's like, you changed my life. Or like at
yeah.
Berlin once, there was this like Croatian queer person who just came up to me crying. I'm just like, oh, okay. You know,
It's intense, but it's
yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
really
know.
yeah, it's great. It's I think it's also funny because it's just like I occasionally have that happen at I had that once happen at a grocery store during the pandemic, so I had a mask on,
Oh.
and there was this like trans girl who just like wouldn't stop staring at me, and my partner was like, "Oh my God, is this girl trying to fight you?" And I was like, "Oh no. Oh no, I understand what this is." I'm like, you have to watch a
Uh,
lot of my porn to be able to identify me from like my eyes in bangs only.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, I know that I don't get recognized often, and I think it's a good thing because I
Yeah.
have friends who are very famous and they can't go, like one of the porn stars I was telling you about like
Hmm.
earlier, like Lisa, when we are in Paris, she can't even ride the subway. She has to like use Uber or taxis because she
Hmm.
can't go in the subway because I remember being with her and we walked for maybe 2 blocks and I could feel the stairs, like the men, like just like,
Wow.
you know, like the elbows and being like, oh
Hmm.
my God, look, it's her because she's like so well known and so recognized. If it's a guy like who's like maybe in 30 or 40, he's gonna know. Or he's gonna be like, oh, I know that face. And then he's gonna be like, oh, wait, I know who it is, you know? And you can tell the people that you can see the stairs. And I don't think it would feel great to be that level of
Yeah,
famous.
I
I
would
don't
not
think
want
so.
that.
But on the other hand, I think it was last year for my birthday. My boyfriend and I were at the bar and, you know, having drinks for my birthday, blah,
Hmm.
blah, blah. Yes, you're 40, etc., etc. And I go home and I have a message on my DMs on Instagram. And it's this girl who was like, oh my God, I was at the bar at the table just beside you earlier, but you were like it seemed very intimate, so I didn't want to bother you,
Hmm.
but I really love your work and what you do, and I can't believe I met you in Toulouse and I didn't say hi, etc. And I was so sad because I was like, oh my God, imagine if she would have come to the table. I would have felt like so, I don't know, like so, like I could impress my boyfriend or
Yeah,
something, you
yeah.
know? It would have felt so good, like to have someone come to the table and be like, "Oh my God, Carmina, I love your work." And I was like, "Oh," I was like so frustrated that she didn't come because I really wanted kind of like to flex in front of my boyfriend. So, sometimes I have the
Yeah,
thing like, "Oh, I don't mind not being recognized," but sometimes I'm like, "Well, maybe, I don't know."
yeah.
But she didn't say hi. She just said hi on a DM. So I still haven't flexed to my boyfriend enough, I think. So I don't know. I'm gonna have
Well,
to pay
here's to
someone to pretend to recognize
yeah,
me.
here's to future flexing. Well, thank you.
Yes,
I had such a great conversation with you. So I have one final question
same.
for you. This is
Let
my
me
only
know.
like kind of BuzzFeedy kind of question. Let's say you wake up tomorrow and one thing in porn could magically be changed. What would you have it be?
Oh, is it in life in general or myself?
Just porn in general. It can be anything. It's magical, so whatever you want, truly.
Huh. Oh my God, it's such a difficult question. Uh, I think I'm gonna have to go with legislation. I
Yeah.
think I would want to wake up in a country where it's not against the rules to be a sex worker,
Hmm.
where it's okay to make porn and I'm not afraid to get kicked by my bank
Yeah.
like to have my bank account closed or being discriminated against by the administrations of my country. I think that
Hmm.
would like take such a weight off everything, really. And I would, since I wouldn't be fighting for sex workers' rights, I would be having so much more time to actually make porn and enjoy making porn and etc. So I think that would be it. Changing the
Yeah.
laws with the magic wand.
That would be fucking terrific if everywhere can do that. Um,
Yeah.
so where can everyone find all of your work and where can they find you on socials?
Okay, so my studio has a French name, and I'm actually working on maybe I have like a more international name, but for now it's called Carré Rose Film. So it's wait, let me see if I can do the spelling bee thing in English. So it's CARRE ROSE and films, FELMS.com. It's my own studio. Some of the movies are also on pinklabel.tv, but just like the festival edits so
Hmm.
that people can like have a look and then subscribe to my website. My socials are Carmina 3000. On Instagram, it's my main. And I'm also at Carmina on TikTok. And I try to also do a lot of like advocating on TikTok. So that's where people can find me, I think.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I
Thank
had
you.
such a great
Thank you for the
conversation with
invitation.
you. As we've like kind of had the catch up in Amsterdam, it's like I feel like we've just known each other for quite a while now, and I feel like
Yes.
you're one of the porn friends that I can just always tap back into and dive into deep porn conversations with.
With pleasure. Anytime, really. We can have like the same conversation off mic, off camera, whenever, and come to France sometime and see what
I
it's
would
about.
I would absolutely love to. Yeah, hopefully there's some more festivals. I'm sadly not gonna be able to make it to Marseille in a few weeks. I think the festival's in a few weeks, something like that.
Yes.
But hopefully I'm gonna be in Europe full time soon, and hopefully we'll have many more collabs in the future.
Well, finger crossed. And I mean, I guess maybe I'll see you in Berlin then.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're gonna see each other in Berlin.
Yes. And it
All right.
it 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 will come very fast. So
Yes. Well, thank you so much again, and
thank
thank
you,
you everyone
Chelsea.
for listening.
Bye.